How to become a millionaire? I get asked this question all the time, and I can tell you that there's no such thing as a get rich quick, but I can give you strategy on how to get there. So one of the things I'll be sharing with you in a second is what are these different strategies to get to a million. If you can hit that, then you can actually achieve a million. Now, I can tell you I've personally done this myself, and I've taught a lot of other people, but the thing is, it's going to take a lot of work, it's going to take a lot of effort, and it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people think they can just click their fingers and just get rich quick. There is no such thing as a get rich quick, but I'm telling you, you got to put time and effort, and I promise you, if you're consistent, you'll achieve it. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm actually going to bring my calculator, and it's really important that you do this as well. So what I'd like you to do is open up your calculator, and one of the things that I always do calculations. In fact, I do a lot of this when I'm 35,000 feet in the air and I'm sort of thinking. So the first thing you got to do is you got to work backwards. It's a process called reverse engineering. So what I like to do is I like to have different types of products. Okay, so every single business needs to have something called a product staircase. Right? So if you're just starting off in business right now, again, if you want to make a million, you want to make 7 figures, which actually is not that much when you come to think about it. I mean, £1 million now it's not worth as much as it did 10 years ago. And that, there's more and more millionaires coming into place because of technology. It allows technology to scale, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So this is what we call a product staircase. And if I was to say to you right now, if you take a million, so I want you all to take your calculator out. I'm going to put a million in this, right? And what I want you to do is, so down here we always have something called a low. Here we have something called a medium, and here's something we call a high. So there are 2 different thoughts of mine when we come to thinking about this. First one is, do I want to deal with a lot of volume, or do I want to deal with a small group of people, right? So whatever it is that you're offering, you have to have some kind of product or service to sell. This is key. So down here, if I have a low ticket item, when I think about low ticket, I'm thinking about $100 or £100. So all you got to do is you got to take, all you got to take is a million, divide that by 100. That means you only need 10,000. Okay, so we put this in a different color. You only need 10,000 unit sales. Right? And that may seem like a lot, but if you divide that by 365, that's actually 27, right? So we only need 27 unit sales a day to make $1 million on a low ticket item. So that's not that much. So then the next question then lies on, how do I actually sell 27 units a day? Now the question is not about how to make $1 million. The question is now how you actually can make it small and bite-sized chunks so we can actually digest it. And this is the secret to making $1 million. If you want to become a millionaire, this is what you got to do, right? So let's take a medium-sized product. Actually, this is something that we teach in our 2-day business events. So if any of you have ever attended any of our business events, if you haven't, there's a link around this video, you can have a look at that. But when it comes to medium products, so one of the things I always do, so a medium product would be 500. Oh, let me change the color of that for a second. Okay, so this is a 500 product. Right? So again, we're going to take $1 million, divide that by 500 equals 2,000, right? So if we can just get 2,000 units in a year, right? That's not a lot. 2,000 divided by 365 is only 5.4. Call it 5, right? So that means I only have to sell 5 products at £500 a day to make $1 million. So again, the question is, how do we sell 5 products a day, right, at £500? And it could be a product, it could be a service. So this is the way you want to start thinking. Again, it's what we call reverse engineer. When you reverse engineer, because what happens is people go, oh, I want to make $1 million. And it's so big that what happens is they get discouraged, they get overwhelmed. And the problem when you get overwhelmed, you get analysis paralysis. And when you get analysis paralysis, guess what happens? Nothing happens. How many of you can relate to becoming overwhelmed, and when you're overwhelmed, you don't actually, you say, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. If that's ever happened to you before, type in yes below, so I want to know who it is. So we only need to have 5 every single day, 500 to be able to make $1 million in a year, right? So that's that. Now a high ticket item is slightly different. Okay, so for example, my high ticket items, I have very high ticket items like 50,000, 100,000. Like if I sell 100,000, I only need 10. But for you, if you're starting off, then your high ticket item should be 1,000, right? So again, we're gonna keep the math simple here. So $1 million, divide that by 1,000 equals 1,000, right? So that means I only have to sell 1,000 units at £1,000 to make $1 million. Now let's do the calculations here again. We're going to take 1,000 and we're going to divide that by 365, which equals 2.7. I'm going to round it to 3, right? So in this calculation of what we've done, if we just can sell 3 products at £1,000, we then start to earn more income, right? 3 people at £1,000 every single day out of a whole year would make us how much? You got it, right? $1 million. Now, if we can hit 27 here, we can hit 5 here, we can hit 3 here, then how much do we make? It's not a trick question. 3 million. So the idea and the reason why we need to understand it at such a deep level, again, in my events that we run where we teach this in a lot more detail, one of the things I talk about is how do we actually create the funnel that goes through this. I actually have a program called the Platinum Mentoring Program. My Platinum members are actually currently implementing this. Okay, they're not hitting 3 million yet, but they're hitting 6 figures, right? And if you can hit 6 figures, you can hit 7 figures. So if you think about this at such a deep level that you're not feeling overwhelmed with products, and let me tell you something as well, all right? And you've probably heard me talk about this before. Whenever you are starting a business and you want to get into that business, you got to think about 3 things. You got to think about how much exposure, right, am I getting? Number 1 is how much exposure am I getting? That's why you'll see me putting out a lot of videos. That's why, you know, over the last 10 years and specifically over the last 3 years, I've been on social media teaching a lot of videos, teaching a lot of content, and I'm putting a lot of content out there because I want to educate my audience. I want to give them value first, right? Then a lot of people watch my videos, they'll buy my book, and after they buy my book, they'll attend one of my conferences, one of my seminars where I teach this live, and I give live examples, show testimonials, specific strategies. And once we find what the exposure is, the second step is number 2, how much of that exposure can we direct and turn into leads, right? Leads or inquiries. When we have leads and inquiries, guess what we can do? We can now help more people specifically with their problems. In business, and a lot of you may be thinking, well, John, what do I offer in the product staircase? The £100, the £500, and the £1,000. Like, what do I actually offer? Well, what you need to offer is not what you think you should offer, but it's what your audience actually wants. So what is it that they are looking for? What is it that they want? And if they can understand that and they're able to get great value from that, guess what happens? We now can take them from, you know, exposure to leads, and then the last part, number 3, leading into customers that actually purchase products and services from you. And the moment you can do that, I guarantee you that you're able to now start monetizing and start earning more income because you've produced a solution to a problem. I see a lot of people do this. They do this the wrong way. They come up with a product or a solution and they market that product and they don't know the numbers. And that means if you don't know your numbers, you can't scale. How do you know you're losing weight? How? You jump on the scales or you put on a jacket, you say, oh, it's a bit tight today. Well, guess what? If it's a bit tight, that's an indication of what you should be doing to what's not happening right now that's not getting you the result. That means that it will tell you what you should and shouldn't do. So, for example, if you don't have enough of this, I guarantee you it's because you don't have enough of this. And if you don't have enough of this, it means you don't have enough exposure. And once you hit these 3, and I'm telling you, every single business that I've started, and I've taken a company public, and we produce multiple 7 figures in sales in our businesses, follow these exact 3 processes, right? And I want to make sure that every single time that you're focusing on your business, just make sure that you're putting a lot of exposure out there. You're giving stuff away. Like one really good tip that you can use as well, the way I started my business, I created like a little booklet that I would give away for free, and I'll give away thousands and thousands and thousands of copies of this little booklet to kind of give people a little bit of what it is that I do. And I can tell you that generated me a lot of the first one and the second one, and I got the third one. That's what equaled sales. So I really hope that you found this useful. And if you haven't done so already, if you want more content on this, then click the subscribe button below and turn on bell notifications. Otherwise, if you don't, you won't see any of my videos again. So you got to click the subscribe button and click the bell notifications. And if you have any questions on what I've talked about, leave a comment below this video and I'll personally answer your question. And what I'm also going to do as well, I'm going to put a video here right now. So if you check out the video somewhere along here, that one's going to teach you more strategies on what I just talked about. It's John Lee, the author of The Wealth Dragon Way. Bye for now.